Hello everyone, welcome to the Waste of Web Space podcast, episode 69.
Starring
Jimbo
and Fisher.
And we've entitled this podcast, Everybody's Favourite Episode Number. Because of course, it's episode 69, which is a little bit on the... You stop laughing. It's a little bit on the cheeky side, of course. And with that, we've obviously got our song, as we always do. So... Our song. What song stands out in your head when you talk about the number 69?
Well, where do we even begin? I suppose, obviously, we must be talking
We're not talking about any Marvin Gaye type stuff here, by the way.
Exactly. Although it can be done by Marvin Straight people as well.
Of course.
I think it's probably going to be the summer of 69.
You've got it. In 2012 we did our first recordings. We only did 9. Started again in 2017. Now we're on episode 69. Me and Fisher from school bought some mics and a mixing board. Jimbo had a kid, Fisher got married. 8 years on and our listeners are bored. And some would say our episodes, they last forever, and we're on video. Yeah, we're even on live stream. It's the Waste of Web Space podcast. And we're on episode 69. So there you go, episode 69, the cheeky number, as we like to say. So 69 then, this is a kind of the number of... So they've stopped naming things 69, haven't they? And putting 69 on things, because things get stolen when they're those numbers.
Yes, due to the sheer hilariousness of the number. So I think if you're, particularly as you go down some motorways, particularly abroad, they tend to have details of kind of how many miles you've got to on that motorway, or kilometres rather. And when it gets to the mark, it says 69. Instead, they put 68.9 instead, just to make it less funny and therefore less likely to get stolen. We were talking on the podcast a couple of weeks ago about funny village names, how they used to get their signs stolen all the time.
Yep. Do you need to do any advisory lyrics or anything before you say the next bit thing? Or
no, I think there's a place in Austria, isn't there, that's called Effing.
Well, technically we should be able to say its name if that's the name of if that's the name of the town.
Go on, I swore last time, you can swear this time if you want.
The town in Austria, children, this is fine, because it's the real name of the town. It's called, and maybe it's said differently, fucking. That's the name of the town in Austria. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. If you want to tone it down and maybe make it less rude, then you could just maybe call it 69 instead.
Yeah.
But their road sign got stolen that often that I think they sort of carved it on a massive stone to make sure no one would nick it and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same if you live in one of these places called Twat or something like that, or Shitterton or whatever it might be.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Oh, busy. Well, actually, not that busy, to be fair. I mean, I've wanted to play golf, but I haven't really had a chance because it's been raining quite a lot. I've been still writing. Remember I was talking about writing match reports about cricket games that I've played previously?
Oh, yeah?
I've now covered 110 games of cricket and written over 45,000 words, which is a fair old effort, I think. And I've done that every single day for 57 days now, I think.
Not getting bored yet?
I got bored after about day 3, but I thought I'd carry on. Joe Wicks, he's given up. He's only doing 3 days a week now, isn't he?
Yeah,
I'm still going.
He needs more time to himself. I'm sorry, he only did that 1 hour every morning. I mean, yeah, that's more than I do in terms of exercise, but still.
Yeah.
It's not going to keep him. It's not going to keep him fit, is it? If he's, I mean, what's he doing? Is he taking a break? He's only doing 3 days a week, is it, or 2 days a week now? What's he doing on the other days? Is he doing somebody else's fitness videos? That's not having a rest, is it?
Do you think he's learning how to dance with Otimabusi instead and all that sort of stuff?
Possibly.
Everyone's just got bored of that kind of thing, haven't they?
Maybe.
I'm still going strong.
Maybe Joe Wicks just had no time to listen to the Waste of Web Space podcast, so he thought maybe he's cleared some time in his diary for that now.
I think that must be the case.
Should we get him on the podcast?
I think we could try. Might be a decent idea. But what I've been doing as well as this, I've been trying to raise a bit of money.
Yes.
For our cricket club. we've got a crowdfunding thing that we're busy trying to promote, and we're trying to get funding in for this. We've only got a day or two left on it, so if you could donate anything to us, it would be greatly appreciated. The link for it is www.spacehive.com/thgcricket, and so we've got over £1,000 donated. Big thanks to anyone who's donated so far. If you think I'm doing such a sterling job in writing to these match reports that you've not even read, then feel free to donate.
Well, we'll put the link in the below the video as well. We'll do that. Big shout out to anybody who is tuning live today. The main reason we do it live is just because it's a lot easier, so I don't have to do as much after. But anyway, if you are listening live, that's great, and we'd like to hear that you're there. If you tell us you're there, we'll give you a shout out and everything. And you can go head to head against me and Fisher when we do our little quizzes that we do as we go through the episode anyway. Are we doing drinks or apologies first?
I don't know. I could have asked you, have you been up to anything anyway?
Oh, right. Yeah, well, it was Father's Day, weren't it? But I know we recorded after Father's Day, but I did realise I'd forgot to bring my show you my Father's Day card. Do you want me to go and get it now?
Yeah, go on get it.
Sorry, I've not got it to hand.
Yeah.
In fact, as I stand up, you might notice something that I'm going to have to be apologising for shortly.
Go and get the drink, and I will talk to the listeners through what I've just seen. Now, I can't help but notice that on the last episode for Show and Tell, Jimbo had a chair that was white or cream coloured, and now he's got a chair that's red or pink or orange. What's happened, Jimbo?
Go on, tell me. I didn't have my headphones on.
Your chair appears to have changed colour, and in fact, possibly not just changed colour, but changed chairs.
Yeah. So, apology of the week goes to my Auntie Brenda's cream chair. You still there, Fish? Yeah, it goes there to. Sorry, it's because I'm watching an old version of you talking. Anyway, that's confusing. But my Auntie Brenda's old chair. Okay. So she gave me, didn't give me the chair. I inherited her chair or her old chair, the cream chair from last week, because she's no longer with us, and it featured in my show and tell item. So as soon as I'd done that, I got my mum saying, "Oh, somebody else wants that chair." Bearing in mind I paid for the chair, saying somebody else really wanted that chair.
So you inherited it?
Well, no, I paid for it. I wanted to give some money towards the family and
You bought it then?
Yeah, so I bought it, but it wasn't a good price. So yeah, I was happy with it, perfectly, and also getting it up these stairs weren't easy. So my mum kept nagging me, but this other chair that I can get you, it's really impressive. It's like a Ferrari seat. I'm like, it's fine, honestly. Kind of the cream kind of went with the house, and also, I just didn't want to get it up and down the stairs. I couldn't be bothered, but I kept getting nagged and nagged and nagged and nagged and nagged and nagged and nagged, as mothers do. And
don't know what you mean.
And yeah, so I ended up just going, I'll have whatever blooming chair it is. So now that chair I have to apologise to, because it thought it had a permanent spot here on the podcast. It could have been, it would have been the famous chair, wouldn't it? Like the mastermind chair. It could have been the next big thing like that, but now it's going to be this one. So, which I do like. It's fine. It goes with my my outfit when I'm doing my other job, which is the greatest PowerPoint showman, which is for my my business that I do. So that's quite good. But anyway, that's my apology.
You're not going to plug the fact that you're not going to mention the fact that you tried to advertise your business last week on Facebook. You're doing some kind of presentation thing. You might want to describe it slightly better than I am, but you're doing a presentation for professional people to follow, and you tried to advertise it on Facebook. But unfortunately, you advertised it just to one person, and that was to me, didn't you? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and another thing I did once for that business, which you'll find quite funny. And I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but one of my things as part of my training is that I advise people where to find royalty-free stock to use in their presentations. So which websites you can use to find like images and things like that you can use for free, without having to pay royalties or anything like that. So I once gave in a class. I once gave a website out that was completely the wrong address, because I was trying to give an address for freepics.com. But I spelt it wrong, and it took them to a completely different website, which I definitely don't recommend of using for images in your PowerPoint presentations. So anyway...
I'm guessing images of something else.
Exactly. Anyway, next, I want to just show off my Father's Day card from my daughter. Here it is. So can you see that, Fisher, all right?
It's got a stick man and presumably stick smaller person, so presumably stick man and child.
Yep. It says, thank you for using me as a climbing frame.
Oh,
so there you go.
Nice?
That's from Ada, who obviously regularly features in our podcast. Are you ready?
Go on then, let's listen to her.
Jimbo and Fisher, Radio Web Space Podcast. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, nice and polite. Says thank you at the end of it.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, got to bring her up properly and all that. So yeah, there we go. So that was the apology of the week. Are we moving on to drinks?
Yeah, let's move on to drinks. What have you got?
So I have got, because we've been doing nights recently rather than Sundays, just because of time and stuff like that. I've got this. It's called Night Shift, but I think it's also quite good because if you look at it, it's got like someone wearing a mask on it, so it's like a COVID drink.
Yeah, is that sort of, it looks like some kind of World War II gas mask, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there you go. It's strong. It's 6.5% of black IPA. So it's going to be an interesting one. And it's just to let you know where it's from. It's from where is it from? Should have told you this before. Is it another? I don't know. You come back to me when you've told me what you're having.
Okay, I'm having some Winchwood Hobgoblin. It's a traditional ruby beer. It's brewed with roasted malts and well balanced for a rich, smooth taste, full of mischievous character. A bit like the person about to drink it. Sorry, that's just me trying to advertise myself. It says multi-pack, not to be sold separately, which is fine because I bought 4 of them. It's traditionally craft brew with chocolate and crystal malts. Yeah, should be okay. It's Winchwood Brewery, which is part of Marston's, who are based in Witney, Oxfordshire. Do you know who used to be MP for Witney?
Oh, I do, but I forgot.
Oh, well, never mind. So we'll reveal next week. David Cameron used to be MP for Witney.
That's it.
All those years ago. So yeah, that's what I've got. So whereabouts is yours brewed?
Scotland, and when it says black IPA, it is actually black.
Okay. I don't know if you've not opened it yet, or have you opened it?
Because I've opened it and I've seen it's black. It looks like the same coloured Coca-Cola or something inside. Oh. So there you go.
So let's get these poured then.
Black drinks matter too, of course.
Yep.
You know. Anyway, so moving on then. Okay, so on to our next little thing then. It's your show and tell, isn't it, Fisher? So what's going on?
It is, although I've not quite poured my drink yet. So cheers, Jimbo. This is ruby coloured as opposed to black. Have you not got a glass to put it in so we can just have a look at the actual colour of it, or you just drink it out of the can?
I've got a glass, but it's had of something else in it, so I'll just pour it just to demonstrate for you.
So that's a bit stout coloured then.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, it's not. It's an IPA. It's nice. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to drink out of that now because that's had like orange juice in it, so that'd be really weird.
Okay. So it's time for a mystery item.
Yeah.
The show and tell. Well, it's partly what I'm wearing. Partly what can you see what I'm wearing there? Do you see what it says?
The Dubliners.
The Dubliners.
And your number 6 has fell off it, and you've replaced it with a 0.
Yeah, almost. I could have doctored this to get it to be branded for the episode, couldn't
exactly,
I?
Yeah.
So this is a t-shirt I wore at Stag Do back in 2009, where we went to Dublin, funnily enough. And this is a bit of headwear, more commonly associated with, I'm not sure if you can see that, funnily enough, a similar colour to the drink that you're having.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a Guinness hat. So my theme really is Ireland.
Is the question going to be, which night of the year did I wear this outfit?
It is not going to be that. The question is, how bitterly disappointed was I when it turned out that St. Patrick's Day was cancelled? Or the question could be, how annoyed was I when, if you have a look at the underside of any can of Guinness, always seems to be a case that they go out of date just before St. Patrick's Day. I mean, if you've got any left over, you have to buy some more ready for the next St. Patrick's Day.
Let me just butt in a second. My mother's just got in touch saying, have you mentioned your new chair? Rewind.
Right.
Rewind, mother, and yeah. Maybe I should have been careful about what I said earlier. Never mind. Go on then, Fisher.
Oh, well, right. So, obviously, there's a bit of an Irish theme to this. So, what is my connection with Ireland? Is it that I was confused with being Irish at university after my student card referred to me as Christ O. Fisher. I had to ask for the card to be reissued. Or is it that when I go on holiday, I often walk around other people's hotels and put on an Irish accent?
Well, I do know, like you like doing accents. So, okay. Now, I know that it's not the first time that you've had issues with ID cards, then, and saying a different name on it. What was it that your train rail card said on it for quite a while?
Oh well, my rail card it said Mr. Fisher, but if you can write Fisher in block capitals with the F and the I next to each other, it looks like an A. I mean, obviously, Clint Eastwood would obviously be well aware of this particular problem, but it says F and I next to each other looks like an A, so I often got called Mr. Asher, which obviously is also a potential surname that I could have. But one week, they printed it up and just put, one week it said like Mr. Ass Meta or something like that, which made no sense. And then a few weeks later, it simply said the word Mr. Ass, which really annoyed me. Somewhere along the lines, I've got a picture of this, and I'll tweet it along with the episode, just to confirm what we're talking about.
Is that sorted now? And obviously, you're not using your rail thing anymore. But have you sorted the old Asher thing out?
Yeah. Whenever I get it issued, I make sure they actually put the correct name on there.
Right. Okay.
Which is, I think a justified thing to do.
All right. By the way, your hat makes it sometimes look like we're on episode 6, not episode 69 anymore. Because that's why we're so amateur. Anyway, so go on then. Tell me a bit more about that. So the first one then, your name was spelt wrong on your, what was it? What, on an ID university ID card?
Yeah, student ID card.
You said Christo Fisher.
Yeah.
How could they've got that wrong?
Well, my name is not Chris; it's Christopher.
Yeah.
So it was split off after the first 7 letters, and it got confused when I put the form in, and sort of filled in what my name was, put in Christopher, and the inputter kind of got it wrong, and put Christ O, and then Fisher underneath it. It's Christopher's quite a long name, so that's the name that I ended up with on the card. And I looked at it and thought, well, that's not me, and it makes it sound like I'm Irish, so which obviously there's nothing wrong with. But I don't particularly like the name Christopher in general. It's my name, but to be fair, I prefer to be called Fisher, particularly when we're podcasting.
So we've disrespected my mother and now your mother in the same episode.
No, I'm not disrespecting her mother at all.
Unless it was your dad that gave you your name.
No, otherwise he'd have called me Schweppes or something like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, true.
No, I'm just, Christopher's quite a long name. It's a bit sort of a bit formal and all that sort of stuff. So I very, very rarely use it unless it's on some kind of official forms. Obviously, passport, driver's license, university enrolment, all official certificates. I put my correct full name. But on this particular card, I asked them to change to make sure I got the name Chris on there.
Okay.
Or at least not Christ O.
Did you not have that card for long then?
I got rid of it after a few days. Obviously, on the first day of university, we got sort of other things to think about and consider. But
well, like free pizza and beer and stuff like that.
Yeah, once my hangover finished after the sort of like 8th or 9th week, then I got it changed.
So the second one, then, you used to pretend to go around being Irish around the university.
No, this is when we're on holiday.
Oh, on holiday.
Hotels.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, so when you so you go to the different hotels pretending you're Irish.
Yeah, so when we go on holiday, obviously we stay at our hotel, but also when we have a bit of a wander around, just in the resort in general, you sometimes might see another hotel you quite like the look of, and obviously to some degree you've got one eye on where you might want to go in future.
Okay.
So my wife quite likes to look in other hotels. I'm not quite so keen.
I thought you was going to say your wife is quite keen on the Irish accent, and it's kind of a little thing you put on.
Well, I can confirm for certain that she's definitely not too keen on the Irish accent. So
can you introduce yourself as Christo Fisher, please?
Welcome to the Waste at Web Space podcast, episode 69, starring Christo Fisher and Jimbo.
I think we need to change your name to that going forwards.
No, which is not happening at all. Although I think we did toy, but obviously when we were doing the introduction on the podcast, we'd put various details of the history of the podcast in here on this particular episode. I think we did once decide that on St. Patrick's Day, I was going to attempt to do the entire podcast with an Irish accent, didn't we? But we didn't quite get round to doing it.
I can see why you could keep it up though. You've got. You know, I'm not very good with accents. For me to keep on the same accent as well, but you tend to do pretty well. Do you remember the episode that we did where you tried to do different accents and it went terribly wrong and you just kept getting
25 different accents. Oh, I was appallingly bad at that.
If anyone wants to watch it,
I
can't remember what episode number it was, but if anyone wants to go back and watch that, it was particularly enjoyable to listen to Fisher struggling and slipping from Irish to Scottish to Liverpudlian to Geordie.
Well, I was trying to really sort of split the accents down. I was trying to do a couple of different Scottish accents. I was trying to do sort of more of a Glasgow accent and more of a softer Edinburgh accent, all that sort of stuff, and it just didn't work at all. Too difficult.
Now, I know, I think, for Vicky to marry her is quite a big, it's quite a big thing to have taken on, So whether she'd actually let you, as well as taking you on, as well as allowing you to walk round hotels pretending to be Irish and embarrassing her in that way, I don't know if she'd allow that. So I'm gonna say that it was the first one, and I think you had the wrong name printed on your ID card at university.
You think I was referred to as Christo Fisher in my first few days at university?
Yes.
Well, Jimbo, you'd be wrong.
Oh.
When we go on holiday, I often walk around other people's hotels putting on an Irish accent.
So, I think that's the first one of yours I've got wrong, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, I had a good record with this as well. So, never mind. All right, then. That was good, Fisher. Thank you for that. And we'll do another one again, the same sort of time next week. So, the Olympics.
Okay.
They've been cancelled, haven't they? They cancelled a while ago.
They were meant to be in Japan. So instead, I think they're going to be held next year, hopefully. Although I think Japan's actually, in general, like quite a good... have been one of the better countries in terms of handling the coronavirus outbreak. Which obviously is good, and well done to them. It was meant to be held next year. Oh, it's going to be held next year.
One of our sponsors has got in touch and said we've got a new idea for we don't want people to miss out on the Olympics, so they've got an idea. Are you ready for it?
Go on
then. Well, here it is. I've lost it then, but here it is. Disappointed at the cancellation of the Summer Olympics? Let us introduce the COVID Olympics. Events with social distancing and health and hygiene regulations at heart. Relay races now include baton sanitising stations, who can sanitise their baton the quickest, before throwing, not passing it, to their opponents. Boxing and wrestling are now tantalising staring competitions, who needs kicking, punching and pushing anyway. In the rowing, the 8-man rowing event now features a boat 40 metres long, to ensure a safe 2-metre distance between the rowers. We've also replaced the shot put event with a how far can you sling an elasticated face mask. Or enjoy a new event, which features competitors trying to carry as many toilet rolls as possible around a 400-metre running track. We even have a winter event section, where curling is now done in McDonald's at the end of each day when doing a full-scale deep clean. The COVID Olympics, coming soon, near you. Yeah, my mum's not happy, but she never is, so... Anyway...
Well, at least she's confirmed that she doesn't nag, which is very good of her.
Oh, yeah, of course not. So anyway, we're moving on. Now, I heard the other week, and this just gave me an idea for a quiz, really, but I heard recently from some of my friends that there'd been a big sort of syndicate-type win on a lottery at some sort of company, I can't remember where, but some sort of company or business in Sheffield or something like that.
Oh, okay.
That just got me thinking, about maybe I could do a quiz about lottery winners, and it's something we all dream about, isn't it? And I don't get those people who always sort of speculate and go, oh, if I won lottery, I'd do this or I'd do that. Or do you play it lottery? Nah. You know what I mean? I don't get that. I think if you've got no right to sort of imagine and believe and to say what you do if you don't actually play it. And it's actually it's for good cause as well a lot of the time, the lottery, isn't it? So it's kind of, like supporting local charities and various things like that as well.
You've got to be in it to win it, as Dale Winton used to say.
Yeah.
Was that his programme, In It to Win It?
Well,
they used to have the National Lottery and used to have like a quiz programme beforehand.
Yeah, it was good that. And they used to have, that's not his catchphrase from Bring on the Wall, is it? That was different. Because you've got to be through it to win it on that particular show. But that was a really good TV show, weren't it?
Hole in the Wall.
Hole in the Wall.
Terrible.
I liked it. I thought it was brilliant, especially when they had rude-shaped ones come up that they had to try and fit through.
I tell you what, episode 69 would be perfect for that, wouldn't it?
Why didn't we think of this before? Anyway, so I've got a bit of a quiz about people who have won the lottery, or just a few lottery type things. There's not many. I think I've got like, how many questions I've got in total? Maybe seven questions, but the first one's there's quite a lot to the first one or two. Is that okay? So, are you ready then, Fisher? So, first of all, what are the odds of winning the lottery in the UK? The UK lottery. And we're talking about, like, the standard lottery, not the Thunderball or, like, I don't know, Golden Balls or Hairy Balls or whatever balls that they play nowadays. We're talking about, like, the actual normal lottery. The original, okay? So there's Saturday and Wednesday nights. And I want to look at it the other day, by the way. And what else, before we move on to these questions, something I don't like about the lottery is that when you play online, when you've won something, you get an email that comes up, and the headline of the email is, "We've got news about your ticket." Nothing else. And you have to click on it in sheer, like, excitement, panic, and whatever, and then you realise you've won, like, a lucky dip, or you've won a tenner or something, which, it's better than nothing, of course, but it kind of raises the heart rate a bit too much. You could just tell you've won a tenner, in the subject heading. That's what I'll say about the National Lottery.
Perhaps it'd do that thing, though. It just kind of says, you've won £10. Would you like to get the money or just buy 5 tickets for the next 5 weeks, reinvest that winnings? But if you won like 15 million, think it'd right to you and say, do you want to just buy another ticket for the next 7.5 million weeks, if that's okay?
Do you want to just buy more tickets for the rest of your life, or would you like to buy a striker for Newcastle United, or you know what I mean? Anyway, so my first question is, what are the odds of winning the UK lottery? And again, we're talking about the Wednesday or the Saturday. So A, it's 1 in 26 million. B, it's 1 in 35 million. Or C, it's 1 in 45 million.
Well, it's obviously going to be a lot because it doesn't get won. I don't know how many people win. How many people play it nowadays? Is it more of an older person's thing? Are the youth of today playing the lottery that much?
Well, no, I think it's made up by a lot of people in the workplace who play into in like syndicates and things like that. I suppose. I play it.
Sorry, go on.
I say I play it because I couldn't dream about it and go on about what I'd do with all the money if I didn't play it.
Yeah, I don't bother. So
you never say, "Oh, if I won lottery," you never say that then.
Yeah, well, I say if I won lottery,
right.
I'd be amazed because I don't even play it. I'd be thinking there's something fundamentally flawed with this system because it's allocating prizes out to people who haven't even entered into the competition. What's wrong with it?
Well, wasn't that like a lot of the game shows in the early noughties or the sort of early 2010s or something like that? That's what was happening on those game shows, weren't it? Ant and Dec were doing that.
I think on a few occasions, some of their winners were selected before the actual full allocation of people were allowed to had entered. I think when Richard and Judy, they got collared for it a few times. You paid £1 to enter or whatever, on You Say We Pay or whatever it was, and I think they announced that they phoned the person back who'd won it at about 5:15, and yet they stopped taking people ringing in and paying £1 at 5:30 or whatever. So there was a period where you were entering with no chance of winning, which obviously isn't particularly acceptable. And Blue Peter's cat, obviously, was a big scandal around that time, wasn't it? Didn't viewers choose a certain name for the cat, and then the producers just decided to call it something else instead?
Yeah. What did the viewers call it? It wasn't like Infiltrated, and tried to call it like something rude or something.
Yeah. Catty McCatface or something like that. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But anyway, in terms of winning the lottery, I think it's very unlikely. I think your odds are probably about 1 in 45 million. I think the highest of the lot.
Yep, 1 in 45 million, which brings me on nicely to our next questions then. So are you more likely, okay, is my question,
All right, guys, yeah.
to be struck by lightning or win the lottery in the UK? And again, we're talking about the standard lottery. And we're talking about a standard lightning bolt as well.
All right.
None of these thunder lightning bolts or Euro lightning bolts. We're talking about proper Saturday night, Wednesday night lightning bolts.
Well, you sometimes see sheet lightning. Sometimes you see good lightning as well. What's the nearest you've ever come to being sort of hit by lightning?
The nearest I've ever come.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the garden the other day trying to put away an umbrella that had been left out in the rain, and the sort of parasol type things. I thought it was pretty close to getting struck by lightning then, but I don't think I wouldn't say I've ever come particularly close. Okay. I mean, you go golfing, so that's the prime location to get hit by a bolt of lightning.
I was actually golfing in a bit of a thunderstorm last Tuesday, which is probably not the brightest thing I've ever done. But I remember when I was in Mexico on honeymoon a number of years ago. Nearly 4 years ago today, as it so happens. And there was a huge thunderstorm and a massive thunder and lightning bolt that it was directly over where we were, and it was so loud that I very nearly went. It was amazing. Just at the same time that the lightning struck, really near and really loud, a small child just went like that.
So that's what Vicky was on about when she said it was an electrifying honeymoon.
Exactly. But there we go. Anyway, so I think, how many people get hit by lightning in the UK? So it's what, 70 million? Can more than 2 people get hit by lightning in the UK per year? I think so. I think you're more likely to get hit by lightning.
It's not the same person though, because of course lightning doesn't strike twice.
Hey.
In the same place. There you go.
I think you're more likely to get hit by lightning.
So you think you're more likely to get hit by lightning than win the lottery?
Yep.
You would be correct. Well done.
Oh, you meant to wear flip-flops?
I know, but you can't really walk. It's not really thunderstorm attire, is it? Flip-flops, unless you are running in from the pool. If you are on something such as a holiday or a honeymoon or something like that, I suppose, in one of those countries that does have those sort of tropical storms. Anyway, next then, get killed by a shark, and we're talking about in the USA here, by the way. Or win the UK lottery?
Well, not many people get killed by sharks per year, I believe. I think they've got a slightly worse reputation than they should have, which I think is probably due to the film Jaws, which has probably not done much marketing and publicity or reputational management for the shark community in general. So I think, how many people live in America? About 250 million, 300 million, something like that. Maybe even 350 million. Do 5 people get killed by sharks per year? I don't think so. I think you're more likely to win the UK lottery.
Well done. Yeah, that's true. You are more likely to win the UK lottery than get eaten by a shark in the USA. I think a shark attack might be more likely than winning the lottery though.
Yeah.
But being killed by a shark, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. But you talking about sharks and their reputations, I think it's probably improved now since the old baby shark sort of thing.
Good point.
A lot of young kids they love sharks now. I was petrified as a kid as sharks, but because I watched Jaws, all we had were Jaws, and sharks were bad. But I'm a bit worried about Ada because all she's had is baby sharks. So if she just walking along and saw a shark one day, obviously I'm not talking about in Meadowhall or something like that. I'm talking about on a holiday or something. I'd be a bit worried about what her sort of idea of sharks is.
Well, if it's a baby one, it'd be all right because it's only little, wouldn't it? But
yeah.
Maybe
she likes Daddy Shark, though.
And Daddy Shark.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in the song they should have carried a bit more of a warning over the Mummy and Daddy Shark.
Yeah, I think so. Something to write to them about, maybe. Next, then. So what's more likely, then? Your plane going down or winning the lottery?
Well, not many planes crash. I mean, unfortunately, when it does, obviously, it's very, very catastrophic. I think, wasn't there a couple of years ago when there were no notable plane crashes at all? And I think it was in the first year of Donald Trump's presidency. And he claimed
did he claim credit? Did he claim credit for that?
It's the best year in terms of the best year for aviation safety as I've been president. I think is what he said, or something along those lines. Took credit for it, as obviously he takes credit for everything.
Of course.
So I think it's quite infrequent. So I think, well, that said, not that many people actually fly, do they? Flying's not something that absolutely everyone does in the world. But nonetheless, I think it's more likely that you would win the UK lottery. Really?
Yeah, you're more likely. It's you've got a 1 in 5.4 million chance of your plane going down, apparently, which I think is quite a shocker. But I don't know. That's what it says anyway.
Crash as opposed to just land.
Yeah, it just says going down. But anyway, yeah, more likely to happen than win the lottery. So, but there you go. On Donald Trump, do you think he's going to claim the improved environment because nobody's flying or travelling and things going anywhere? I think he'll claim that as well.
Could do. It's a good point. Yeah.
It's nothing to do with coronavirus, which and all those deaths that he could have potentially prevented. But the environment itself, it's all down to Donald Trump. He said it'd sort itself out.
Did you see tweeting the other day? Joe Biden, who is running against him as president.
Shame it's not in an actual race, isn't it?
Well, I think with two men in the 70s, if it was a running race, that would be quite good to watch.
Yeah.
Biden versus Trump.
Trump drinks a lot of Coca-Cola, so he gets stitched quite quickly.
Yeah. And he's not particularly... He doesn't look very fit, Trump, does he? Looks a bit overweight. And but yeah, Joe Biden said the amount of deaths we had in America from COVID has been 120,000. And Trump got hold of that footage. He got it edited to the point where as soon as he said 120 million, bosh, edited down. And then he tweeted it saying, stupid Joe Biden thinks that there's been 120 million people who've died from COVID. It's only 120,000. Only? I mean, come on. That's nothing to brag about, is it? You've got the world's highest death total.
Well, next. Are you ready? So we've done the one about the plane going down. What about finding a 4-leaf clover? Or winning the UK lottery? What's more likely?
Are you sure it's not just shamrock? The 4-leaf clover, as opposed to... I don't know.
Christ so fishy, you should know this one.
But I never really know exactly what they mean or have much details of it. I think it must be more common, surely, than finding a 1 in 45 million chance. I think finding the 4-leaf clover, surely.
Yeah. But still, it's 1 in 10,000 chance of finding a 4-leaf clover, apparently. But anyway, I mean, what's the point? I mean, if they're worth money, then... But I don't... Yeah, what's the point? Anyway, next then.
It's got one more leaf than the other clover. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I'll just put that down over there then, shall I? What do you do with clovers anyway?
I don't know. Do they make butter with it?
I don't think so. I think obviously there's a brand of that, but don't know. Don't know what the point is of them.
Have identical quadruplets, or win the lottery. UK lottery. Quadruplets.
Yeah, quads. Let's call them quads. Let's call them quads, Jimbo. Identical quads.
So it's like your nephews times 2.
Yep. Yeah, but they're not identical.
Right, okay.
So aside from the fact that they're not identical, not the right number, I think you're pretty much spot on there. I think it must be quite rare, quads, surely. So, because I think an identical twin, it's the same egg that gets split. And then in quads, those 2 eggs also split, or one egg will stay the same and one will split, and then the other egg that comes from that will split. So I think 45 million. How many kids are born each year in the UK? About 1 million children born in the UK every year-ish, give or take a bit, do we think? You don't really give him much to steer on this. That's been a bit
I
mean,
don't know,
a bit
but I think
there.
I think this might be like your. I don't think it's just you in the UK having this chance. I think it's you in general, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming it'll kind of.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's the same genetic chance of having quads in the UK as there are anywhere else. I'm just trying to think practically of. So I think that you're more likely to have quads.
You think
I
so?
think that might be something nearer to being 1 in 5 or 10 million ish. I might even less than that.
You're correct. 1 in 15 million chance of having identical quadruplets. There you go.
Quads. Scum quads.
Finally, killed by a vending machine or winning the lottery.
Oh, I've seen this. I've seen that a lot of people do get killed by vending machines, don't they? In countries obviously where vending machines are quite popular. But I think what they do is, if the thing's not dropped properly, then you tend to tilt the vending machine back, tilt it back, and it lands on top of you and squashes you. And I think it does account for a surprisingly large amount of deaths. Is this specifically in the UK or is it elsewhere?
I think it's just around in general. So what's the chance of you being killed by
I mean, they're the kind of people who do that, aren't they? So I think you're probably more likely to be killed by a vending machine. I think maybe 10, 20 people a year get killed in America by that. So I think your chances are maybe about 1 in 30 million, something like that.
No, it's a bit higher than you think. 145 million to 1 to be generally killed by a vending machine. I think they are generally quite safe, but obviously people do get killed by vending machines occasionally. There you go.
I don't particularly think it's a vending machine's fault that the person dies. I mean,
yeah, watch out for them. Watch out for them hiding round corners on a dark night with a mask.
How were you killed by a vending machine? Well, I'll tell you what, the vending machine being drink driving, it got into a car, drove irresponsibly and knocked my friend over, and that's how the vending machine killed it. No, it's not the vending machine, it's the people who have the vending machine fall on top of them because they tip it on themselves.
I was walking along, and the next thing, there's a vending machine up behind me. Thought it had a gun, it just turned out to be a Snickers. Anyway, so that's all of those kind of things. Next then, where are we here? So yeah, first question then. Croatian man. So it's not your first question, but it's like, the next part of the thing. So it's question. Yeah. It's technically question 3. Next thing then, Croatian man, Frane, I think it's Frane or Fran Selak, won his local lottery in 2003, winning £600,000. But before that, he was already known for being very unlucky and lucky. How many times is he reported to have nearly died but then survived? And this is before he won the lottery. So is it A, 3 or B, 7?
I don't know. I suppose some people have various dice. Do we know if he did anything particularly dangerous for a living?
I'll go through them after, but they're not. It's not like I just managed to step out of the way of a car before it caught me. Yeah. It's actual incidents.
Kind of he got shot at by a member of the mafia or something like that. Yeah. I think 7 would be a lot, so I think only 3.
7 times. And this is particularly amazing. I think I'd heard about this person before I did the research, because one of them in particular, I was when I was reading the reasons, because I knew that this lottery winner had also had some amazing things happen and survived them and so on. But I remember this story from when I was quite young. But anyway, 1962, the train he was riding on derailed and plunged into an icy river. 17 people died, but Fran, survived. Okay. In 1963, while on a plane, the back door was blown out and he got sucked out of the plane. Episode 69. 19 people died, not so funny, but he survived thanks to landing in a haystack. So, there's a pattern here emerging, all right? A bus...
Did they nickname him the Needle afterwards?
Yeah.
when they rescued him.
A bus he was, because he obviously falling out of a plane, he found the haystack on it.
Very lucky, yeah.
So, 1966, a few years later, he was on a bus that drove into a river. 4 passengers died, and he managed to swim to shore unharmed. There's a pattern going on here. I'd be questioning this guy and what's going on. Okay, like, is he the actual Grim Reaper? Like,
Imagine
Next.
if you got on a mode of transport and end up sat next to him. No, I'm getting off. I am not getting on sitting next to this man. I don't care whether it's Fran, Francois. I'm getting off. I'm going back into the port, into the airport, whatever. No, I'm not sitting next to you.
1978. While in his car, it caught fire, and moments before the engine blew up, Fran managed to cheat death and escape the vehicle. But everybody else in the nearby vicinity was just killed, and no, that didn't happen on that one. 1973, due to a malfunctioning fuel pump, the air vents of his car. I mean, has he not learned his lesson from 1970 to make sure his car's reliable? Vents of his car started shooting fire, completely burning his hair. But otherwise, he was unharmed. I want to meet this guy. I mean, he might be dead now.
Yeah.
Or he might be 149. 1990.
Washed by a vending machine.
Yeah. 1995, while walking round in Zagreb, Fran got hit by a moving bus and escaped with only minor injuries. But the bus was completely destroyed, and so was the bus driver. I'm joking, of course. 1996, this is his last one. A head-on collision with a bus. Again, why is he not learning from his mistakes? He's been hit by a bus and then he's drove into a bus, with the sound of it. A head-on collision with a bus in the Croatian mountains caused his car to plummet in a 90-metre deep gorge. So he's not had much with cars or buses. Not before he was able to jump out of his car, he grabbed a tree branch as he watched his car crash and burn.
Well, he was just stuck up a tree afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
I bet it was a bloody money tree as well, weren't it?
Yeah. Okay, but how many times is his car set on fire then? 3 times that we're aware of his car's been set on fire ultimately?
There's like some sort of insurance scam going off here, isn't there? But he and then he won the lottery in 2003.
Do you think
it was probably on a bus? The bus crashed into his own car. The bus set on fire. The person next to him who died, it was probably their lottery ticket.
Took out of their pocket and nabbed it. Do you think his wife had taken out some life insurance on him and has been continuing trying to bump him off for a number of years and get the payout, but just failed every time?
Possibly. But anyway, we need to find out more about this guy. Sounds amazing. Anyway, next. Number 4. What happened to Carl Atwood shortly after winning the $57,000 in an Indiana TV game show lottery? My phone's corrected it to Gandhi's lottery.
All right.
Not sure if Gandhi played the lottery.
Did he? It's presuming multiple choice, but did he die straight away?
Well,
was there a TV contestant who literally won something and then collapsed?
Your possible answers are: A, he was hit by a pickup truck 2 hours later on his way to the grocery store to claim he'd won, and a few hours later died in hospital. B, he was already on the run from the police for various crimes, and when he went to claim his prize, the police were alerted, and he was arrested and eventually given a 12-year prison sentence for the crimes he committed and avoiding justice.
I do recall someone who died sort of straight away, but I think I also recall someone who was stupid enough to go and collect the lottery winnings under his real name, was wanted by the police and put in prison as a result of it. So I'm going to say the second one.
Should have gone with your first instinct, Fisher. Yeah, he was sadly, yeah. Like, I mean, that how devastating is that? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't have, he's dead, so it's not like he's going to be. Damn it, you know what I mean? But it's a bit of a shame for him, isn't it? They couldn't enjoy that, but yeah. So he got killed by a pickup truck and just on his way to go and collect his winnings. Well, not collect them, but go and claim his prize. Because I don't think you can get that much money from a grocery store, can you?
Yeah, corner shop. Yeah.
I've tried.
I've got $57,000 just in the back. I'll get it for you. Don't worry about it.
And I've tried plenty of times to get that much money out of him. I'm joking. That's the bank. Anyway, number 5. In 1995, what happened to 18-year-old Kevin Hatcher from Kent? A, he was supposed to be investing 50p into a lottery syndicate he was involved in, but he also wanted to have a beer with his friend, which would have cost the same amount, 50p. At the time, all he had left was obviously a tiny amount of money, so he ended up opting to go for the beer. And then the syndicate won, meaning his friend who replaced him in the syndicate ended up winning his share of the money, which was £900,000. Or B, he won the lottery and claimed the prize, but it was discovered that he'd already stolen the lottery ticket from an elderly neighbour in a recent burglary. He was caught out and the elderly neighbour was given their prize money, with Kevin Hatcher being convicted of burglary and ordered to pay damages to the elderly, now millionaire.
Most inconsequential damages ever.
Yeah.
I think I do recall about someone who dropped out of a syndicate who should have paid 50p but didn't and was booted out of it. I've certainly heard of someone who's bought lottery tickets using stolen details and been made to forego them. But I think he might have opted to buy a pint instead of getting involved in the lottery and lost out on the prize.
My iPad's very sticky today. It's not having it. There we go. Yeah.
Episode 69.
Next then, number 6. John McGuinness won 15 million on the lottery, but what did he do with it? A, he bought 14 million pounds worth of sci-fi memorabilia and spent the remaining 1 million pounds on a very large state-of-the-art shed. Or B, he gave 4 million to his local football team, Livingston, who ended up going bust, leaving him 2 million pounds in debt just a few years later.
What was his name, sorry?
John McGuinness. Friend of Christo
Paddy.
Fisher.
Yeah. And Paddy McGuinness. Hey, what about that then? Hey? I know there was someone who was involved in investing in Scottish football to the extent where I think he actually ended up owning the team and they named the training ground after him. I don't know if that was him or not. So I'm going to say...
I think
you
mentioned this earlier when we had this idea, didn't we? I think.
So is this why you put it in or
no,
not?
I don't. I just remember you saying that, but I don't know if this is the same thing or not.
I'm going to say that he bought a load of sci-fi material.
No, you need to go with your gut instincts, Fisher. He left 4 million to his local football team, or gave 4 million to his local football team, Livingston, and yeah, they ended up going bust at the time, and then that left him in debt because, you know, obviously it's quite a big chunk of money to give away, and he must have spent a lot of money on other things as well. Maybe wasn't expecting them to actually go bust and so on. Number 7, what did Doncaster man, and this is your last one, Doncaster man Howard Walmsley do? A, he won the lottery and gave half of it to a local dogs charity and the other to a homeless charity, claiming that the money had brought him nothing but bad luck and members of his family creeping out of the woodwork. B, he pretended he'd won 8.4 million on the lottery, convincing friends, family and his bank manager and car dealerships, which ended up loaning him 3 Jaguars. He was later found out and then jailed for fraud.
I do recall a fake lottery winner somewhere along the lines. I also recall that there'd been a story about someone who was on Instagram and was going to loads of these parties and was just kind of a complete and utter nobody, like on the party circuit, and claimed there was some kind of millionaire, but turned out they were just a normal person who just kind of blagging their way along through things. But I think they might have bluffed it and claimed that they won the lottery when they hadn't, and got bank loans and all that sort of stuff obtained off the back of it.
Well done, you got yourself a right answer at the end there, yeah. So, yeah, Doncaster man, that man, he was basically pretending to be a lottery winner and then getting lots of sort of things given to him and that he could probably say he'd paid for later and things like that. But, yeah, there you go. So that was just a little bit about the lottery. But, you know, if we are speaking to our listeners, I suppose it's a case of, just letting us know if you know, anything. Like, if you want to feedback and let us know how you did in the quiz. Tell us if you got the right answer, same as Fisher. And all the viewers and listeners, of course, please do get in touch and let us know. Enjoy that, Fisher.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Jimbo. Well done.
So we're going to go on to the news now, aren't we? And there's not been a great deal happen, has there, really? I mean, it's been a pretty quiet week, really.
Good news is, Boris Johnson is starting to feel a bit better. And he can do some press-ups.
Yeah, why did he do that?
I don't know. He did an interview with the Mail on Sunday and said, look, I'm feeling a bit fitter, I'm feeling fine. Look, I'll do some press-ups for you.
Do you think that by Christmas, when he's maybe been booted out of his job or, because you know what the Tories are like, they all turn on each other, or he's not. He's maybe think he'll be bringing out like a fitness DVD at Christmas or something.
Maybe because of the way he's acted, there's going to be a second peak, and we're going to have to get locked down again. And he's priming himself to do fitness with Boris.
Yeah. Now he knows that there's a couple of days a week spare because Joe Wicks isn't doing them anymore.
Yeah, he'll be showing you his fitness moves, which God knows what they would be.
I wonder if Donald Trump uses the footage and claims it's him doing it, because obviously from the back and from what you can see, it could be Donald Trump doing the press ups. Could
be. I can't remember if you've noticed you mentioned his name twice. He needs to play the trumpet twice, which you always do when I do it to disrupt my rhythm. But even then, despite the fact I've not mentioned it, you've still done other bits that I'm speaking on. You should be disrupting yourself and not me.
Well, it's because I'm in the thing, aren't I? Like, if you had the button as well, you could press it. Get yourself your own button.
If you give me the button, and I will have it primed ready. So I can press it. And, all right, might not play it to the speakers the same as you do, but I can play it as well.
Fair enough.
There we go. So yeah, Boris has been sacked. I can't play cricket still.
Boris has been sacked, did you say?
Sorry, he's not been sacked. Sorry, I was looking at the other thing about...
What was going on?
So I'm looking at the other thing about Rebecca Long-Bailey. She's been sacked.
Yeah,
Labour.
Is it Bailey Long or Long Bailey?
Don't know, who cares? Sorry, actually, that's slightly offensive to her and her family.
It's a bit of a...
I think it's Long Bailey.
They've had to sort of take a stance, haven't they? Because obviously, there's obviously been a lot of issues in the Labour Party in the past, and obviously Keir Starmer's trying to make sure that there's not even a whiff of it anymore, isn't there? But I think it's probably a little bit short-sighted and a bit uncareful of Rebecca Bailey Long not to have really looked in detail at what she was sharing, maybe. But then there's also the case of, because it sounds like it was criticism, or the article was in sort of criticism of the Israeli government, wasn't it? So there's talks about whether that was actually anti-Semitic or not. But yeah, there you go.
Well, her name is. I have to check. Her name is Rebecca Long Bailey.
Okay.
By the way, so point to me. Go on, play it. Correct symbol. Go on, bang. There we go. Point to me. Yeah, it's interesting that the claim is that she just so happens to have retweeted an article praising the person who was commenting on the article. It's been acknowledged by both the person, Maxine Peake, who I think wrote the article, was interviewed, and by the newspaper who was writing the article, that the statement in there about the Israeli police force training, or doing some kind of training, I think, for the American police force in terms of technique that was used to kill George Floyd, was untrue. Rebecca Long Bailey doesn't appear to have sort of actually retracted that and apologised, but she just sort of says, actually, I was just doing my bit for a constituent, and a constituent of mine, a long-term Labour supporter. I was just praising and promoting some of her work. It just so happens to have been critical of the Israeli government, who happens to be probably the most prominent Jewish country in the entire world, and there's a particular focus on anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, and particularly a certain faction of the Labour Party. It doesn't appear to have had much done about it. And Keir Starmer sort of straight away said, I think he said, kind of retract it, get rid of it, delete it, apologise for it, and she didn't, so he sacked her.
Mm-hmm.
And I would maybe say that if Jeremy Corbyn might have taken a similar sort of stance, a slightly more hardline approach, then maybe there wouldn't be in a similar kind of mess around that particular issue that seems to be dragging on a lot longer than it really should do.
Potentially, but I suppose they are. I mean, it's hard to say without knowing the detail and what it actually is. But I think that's the whole argument, isn't it? Like, the whole argument is that if they are criticising a government, it's not. I don't know enough about it, but there's a difference, isn't there, between the government, what they're criticising and who they're criticising, or the actions they're criticising and who they're criticising. There's a difference there, I suppose. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, she also went on to make a lot of very, very unfair and disrespectful comments towards some of the major concrete manufacturers in the world, and there's been accusations that she's anti-Semitic.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, very good.
Yeah. Never mind, yeah.
Went over my head, that one, Fisher, but it was very good. If I'd have been a bit quicker, I was just... This was my brain for a second. Oh, I got it now. I got it. There we go. That's what was going on there, Fisher. Anyway, is there anything else been happening in the news?
Yeah, I can't play cricket.
Go on then.
Well, not only can I not play cricket, I'm not allowed to play cricket. Boris Johnson described the cricket ball as being a natural vector of disease.
Yeah, so Boris Johnson's described the
Cricket ball
as
a natural vector of disease.
I thought that was just Boris Johnson, to be fair. But anyway, but yeah, so football's okay, but cricket isn't. Is that the general message? Is that what's happening at the minute?
Recreational cricket isn't okay. England are back. England are going to be playing cricket against the West Indies in about a week and a bit's time.
Okay.
In a biosecure venue where people will kind of live and also play cricket. But if we want to play cricket, if we want to try and squeeze 15 people onto a circular pitch that's probably got a diameter of about 100 metres, then unfortunately it's not deemed that we can appropriately socially distance while we're doing it.
You'd have thought that would have been one of the first sports, along with things like golf, I suppose, that would have been okay, but you know what I mean? As far as I'm aware, I suppose other sports like football haven't been sort of recreational football hasn't been agreed to start yet, I don't think. But yeah, you'd have thought cricket would have been one that they could have...
It's a non-contact sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
It still made me laugh. Back at the very start of this, that rugby, they said, before the game in the Six Nations, we're not going to shake hands. I mean, you're fine to get in the scrum with 15 other men where you put your head up one of their bottoms. It's not a problem. But do not shake hands before the game, whatever you do, because that will just, we're fine in the scrum and but don't shake hands before, we'll be all right.
Anyway, I think that's all we've got to cover for news today, isn't it? It's the shortest news section we've probably ever had.
Pretty much, yeah.
There we go.
So let's move on.
All right then, so, we've had a short news section, but don't worry, because Fisher's got the longest and boringest quiz ever coming up. I'm only joking, Fisher. What have you got? We're doing something about ministers, aren't we, of the sort of daily briefings? Yeah,
well, I was a bit intrigued, because we mentioned Dominic Raab on the podcast last week, and obviously had Boris Johnson, for a while when Boris Johnson was in intensive care, Dominic Raab kind of took over running the country effectively, and he was kind of the most high-profile member of the government and was kind of covering for Boris Johnson. And obviously last week we mentioned about him not taking a knee and referring to his wife as the missus and all this sort of stuff. So I thought I'd maybe just try and find out a little bit more about some of these people that we might have seen doing government briefings and just try and shine a bit of a light on what they're like and sort of some of the little-known facts about them. So we'll start with Dominic Raab, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So which one of these is true about Dominic Raab? Is it that he's got a black belt in karate, or that he has a golf handicap of 2?
Is that good?
I would maybe add that a golf handicap of 2 is very good.
All right, okay. So, do we know anything? Is Dominic Raab like? What's his background? Is he a career politician? As in, that's what he's always been doing, or has he kind of come from business backgrounds? Or
I think he possibly worked for an investment bank years ago, but I might be confusing him with Rishi Sunak. I don't know for certain. I think he's a former professional golfer who also spent time in the Far East learning martial arts.
All right, okay.
I will find out what Dominic Raab did before entering into Parliament. No doubt he has done something else.
Yeah, so, I mean, either, obviously perfectly possible, but I'm thinking that if he's from a kind of business background, and a lot of people in business and so on, I'm in business, but I have no idea what I'm doing with a golf club.
He previously worked in a solicitor's, worked in Linklaters, a London law firm. But I think also kind of worked in the civil service and sort of worked his way up kind of, as the sort of special advisor type role, I believe, before becoming a member of Parliament himself.
Let's go. I'm going to go karate because I think a lot of people who have kind of, gone up through politics and business and those kind of things, I reckon that a lot of them will have decent golf handicaps. What's your handicap, Fisher?
I currently play off 18, which is not amazingly good, but it's not stupidly bad either.
So what does that mean then? You go around a whole golf course and only drop 18?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, broadly speaking, I suppose it would mean that I would expect to go around in 18 shots over par.
Overall, and if there's like how many holes is normally on a golf? 18 over?
You normally, on most golf courses, there are on all golf courses there are 18 holes, unless it's a 9-hole course, obviously. There's 18 holes on a golf course. More often than not, you would be expected to go around that in 72 shots-ish, depending on exactly what the path of the course is.
So that's saying you go 18 over the 72?
Yeah, so I would expect to probably go around in about 90 shots.
Okay. So basically one extra shot on each hole.
Yeah, effectively.
Kind of, but you might have got less on some, and yeah. Okay. Right, I'm gonna go karate, I think.
Okay, and you would be correct. Well done. I think it's not uncommon for politicians to be karate fans. I think William Hague was also a keen karate fan. Is that right?
Yeah, you do a good William Hague impression, don't you?
Oh, well, I don't quite know what you're talking about, Jimbo. Do you think I do a fine impression of William Hague? Isn't it amazing that Dominic Raab is a black belt in karate?
Well done.
Dominic Raab is a black belt in karate, and let me tell you, I would very much like to give him the chop.
Fisher is from our department of comedy impressions, aren't you?
I try my best, yes, Jimbo.
Yeah.
So Dominic Raab.
We were discussing this, that we haven't got any apologising to do for anyone we've done an impression of in the past, have we?
Well, we were talking about sort of doing impressions of people and what's acceptable to do impressions of and what's not acceptable to do impressions of. Now, William Hague is very much a local lad, and he's from South Yorkshire.
Yeah.
I think he's from Watton-Dearn.
Yeah.
So I feel very much as though it is socially acceptable for me to do an impression of a fellow person from South Yorkshire. I think we're on solid ground there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
But back to Dominic Raab. How did he describe people who use food banks in 2017? Did he say they are people who can still buy booze and fags, or did he say they are people with cash flow problems?
People who could still buy booze and fags, or people with cash flow problems, you said?
Yeah. So I think the implication there is either that they're just not managing the money properly, or effectively, if it's booze and fags, that they could afford to buy food, but not for the fact that they waste it on trees.
I think it was the first one. I think it's as bad as what he said, which is, very, very assuming that, to say things like that is a bit unfair, isn't it? Especially from someone like that.
You would be wrong, Jimbo. I'm sorry, sound bad.
So it wasn't that bad then?
It wasn't that bad. Although, to be fair, saying that I think he said they were just people with cash flow problems. I think the implication was if they managed their money a bit better, then
just people with cash flow. Obviously, they are people with cash flow problems, but to say just people with cash flow problems, I think that's all.
I think the problem is I think the more people with cash problems as opposed to cash flow problems in terms of they haven't got any in the first place, let alone sort of struggling to manage it or whatever. Seems to have sort of just ignored the fact that sort of the austerity of the Tory government has sort of plunged a lot of people into poverty in this country. There we go. So what group of people did Dominic Raab describe as displaying obnoxious bigotry in 2011? Did he refer to feminists as displaying obnoxious bigotry, or was it the young of today?
What, like me and you?
No, I said the young of today, not the people who used to be young of today.
Okay. Let's go with, I think it might be the second one, the young of today.
You'd be wrong, it was feminists.
I'm going back to my old ways here, Fisher, after a good couple of weeks of doing well on your quizzes.
Wow. In April 2018, what was revealed about the person in charge of his diary? What was she doing in her spare time? So I think government ministers have something called a diary secretary just to make sure that they know where all their appointments are and all that sort of stuff. So what was his
I've got
diary
one of them.
secretary?
It's called Microsoft Outlook.
Yeah, the calendar function on there.
Yeah.
You get it through to your phone and everything.
Yeah.
So, did they appear on a website advertising herself to sugar daddies? She wanted to earn around £5,000 a month. Or was she working as a stand-up comedian playing open mic nights on London's comedy circuit? She played a character who claimed to be the diary secretary to a government minister. However, it turned out that that's basically just who she was.
I think I've heard this one, and I think it's the first one. But then the second one sounds quite appealing to go for. I mean, obviously the first one sounds appealing to go for. Episode 69. Let's go with the first one.
That she advertised herself to sugar daddies. You'll be correct. Well done. It was revealed in the Daily Mirror. She was subject to a bit of an undercover sting. Someone paid £750 for a night in their company. And the Daily Mirror refused to name her just to protect her identity. Because I think ultimately she's not actually doing anything illegal or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then pretty much every other newspaper decided to name her anyway, so it kind of came out what her name was. She said, I only have two rules. Rule number one is that everything is protected. Apparently she took £750 from this Daily Mirror journalist to fulfill the evening's company and subsequent entertainment. Rule number one is that everything is protected. Rule number two is that only one area is used out of the two areas that can be used.
Okay.
So you can read between the lines as to what that means.
Episode 69.
She was specifically appealing to gentlemen who basically would effectively give her money, I think. For an evening's company, by the sounds of it. I think she was subsequently suspended from her role as diary secretary because I think it was suggested that she might become a bit of a target for Russian criminals or whatever might try and target her and get information from her and all this sort of stuff. So I don't quite know how it ended up how it all finished in the end, but never mind. So Dominic Raab was part of a Facebook group that did what? Note, he claimed that he wasn't sure how he was a member. Was he part of a Facebook group called the UK Nationalism Party, which promoted a return of the 11 plus exam and of national service? Or was he part of a Facebook group called the British Ultra-Liberal Youth, who advocated that the NHS should be privatised?
Oh, I mean, I think with this quiz, I couldn't. It's very hard to tell which one it could be. There's no.
Well, that's the point, to be fair. But
yeah. I think the others I've been able to kind of make educated guesses, but I think any of those could be real. Let's go then. Let's go with this privatisation of the NHS one because we all know the dark secrets of the Tory party. Well,
yes, of course you are. You are, of course, correct.
Just saying.
He just didn't quite know how he was a member of that group.
Right. Okay.
We've got another similar one coming up in a bit as well on that subject. So which government minister was born with the name Graham Logan? Was it Michael Gove or Grant Shapps?
Why would you change your name to Grant Shapps?
Why would you change your name to Michael Gove?
What was the first one, sorry?
The really bad thing, if you change your name to Michael Gove, is that people might think you're Michael Gove. That's why I would recommend not doing it.
If the answer's Michael Gove, we've got to do the Michael Gove clap as well, haven't we?
Of course, yeah.
So let's just go Michael Gove so we've got the opportunity to do that.
So, Graham Logan.
Yeah.
Changed his name to Michael Gove.
Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Well done.
Hold on. Oh. There we go. Very unusual man, isn't he?
He is. Apparently, he was adopted at quite a young age, and his adopted parents changed his name from his birth name of Graham Logan to Michael Gove. In October 2016, Michael Gove and his wife went out to a late-night party to celebrate the end of the Cheltenham Literary Festival. Where was his 12-year-old son? Was he in the hotel room? He'd been left there for about 6 hours. Or he was entertaining the guests at the party with his tap dancing routine.
So who's this again? Sorry, did you say?
Michael Gove's
Yeah.
12-year-old son.
Okay.
Was he
Tap
left in
dancing.
a hotel room alone, or was he sent out to entertain the guests with a tap dancing routine?
Let's say he was. I'm gonna go with the tap dancing. I think.
Tap dancing?
Was he doing that in the sink?
Wait, thank you very much. He wasn't. He was left in the hotel room on his own.
Oh right, okay.
It was a bit of a controversy at the time. Some people said that he shouldn't have left him alone. Michael Gove came out and said, well, at the end of the day, at least didn't leave him in a pub like Gary Cameron did.
Did he actually say that?
He didn't say that. I think he said that it was perfectly fine. He's a sensible, mature young boy. And if he got any problems, then he could have just rung me and my wife and we would have come running from where we were and sorted him out.
And of course, he had the special channels on the hotel telly as well. You know, at that age.
No doubt. I'm sure he managed to get that sorted for him.
Episode 69.
Actually, no, he's only 12, so let's not think about that sort of stuff at that age.
Yeah, but at that age, you're getting interested in stuff, aren't you? Probably.
All right, let's move on.
I'm just saying, you know, teenagers. Well, not quite
He's
teenager,
12.
but anyway, fair enough.
So, who is Grant Shapps' cousin? Do you know Grant Shapps, Transport Secretary?
I do, yeah.
Yes. Who is?
I think I
who
once
is
saw him
his
being
cousin?
interviewed in Sheffield, actually, on the platform.
Could have done. Not too
I
sure.
mean, they wanted him to interview him on the train, but he couldn't get on the train. But anyway,
So,
who's his cousin?
who is his cousin? Is it the former guitarist from the punk band The Clash, Mick Jones? Or is it the former Turner Prize winning artist and cross-dresser, Grayson Perry?
Quite, you know, you must have picked one out there to make one up. So unless there's a tie back to both of them in some way, so I'm going to go with
I just kind of thought one of one random person.
Who's
and
the
one of
second
actual
one
correct
again?
answer. The second one is former Turner Prize winning artist and crossdresser Grayson Perry. Not sure if you know who they are.
No, I don't
quite
think
keen
you did
to pop
either.
them.
I don't think you did before this quiz either. So I think it's that one.
You would be incorrect.
Oh.
And I'm a reasonable fan of Grayson Perry's work. They've appeared on Have I Got News for You a few times.
Is that where you get your clothes from?
Well, I got this from a stag do. I will
okay.
think you'll find. So what did Grant Shapps do under a false name in his early days as an MP? Was he presenting a podcast about gardening and wrote in a magazine under the fake name Mark Flowers? Or was he working as a web marketing expert and he claimed his name was Michael Green?
So I think it's the second one because I've heard about this recently, and it might have been something to do with like, you know, where the stuff to do with like spinning things during election campaigns and stuff like that. I don't know if it was there might have been something linked to things like that, possibly. So I think it's the second one.
So he was working as a web marketing expert, claiming his name was Michael Green.
Yeah.
Yes, you would be correct. Well done.
Because it was alleged that he was still doing stuff like that, possibly while he was working as an MP as well, and it was a bit dodgy.
Yeah, I think it was claimed there was a bit of an overlap, which you should be declaring you should be, if you're working as a member of Parliament, you should be maybe serving the people who elect you as opposed to going off and doing something else kind of thing. So yeah, there was that kind of, it was alleged that he was claiming to working under a false name and walking around sort of doing some of these marketing things and attending events. This was further fueled by the fact that there were various photos of him shared where he got a name badge on that was the name Michael Green and not Grant Shapps.
Yeah.
So probably added a bit of fuel to the fire, really. So we've only got two questions left about Matt Hancock.
Can I just butt in that my mother recommended that we should swap microphones so that it matches with the chair.
All right, okay.
Saw that earlier on. Now that's not very good, is it? In times of COVID-19.
Yeah.
You know, look how close proximity we get to these microphones. Do you want me to get ill? Do you want me to get the family ill?
I've been breathing on this microphone. You can probably hear it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what.
We only have to swap the tops as well because these aren't actually, you know, these just come off these things. But anyway.
Good point, actually. Yeah. But with how long it actually took to put the microphone cover on,
It's not worth it, is it?
I'm not going to change it again. No, I'm sticking with the red. I'd rather just get a red chair. It's probably more hygienic just to swap chairs, to be fair.
Oh, and so actually, you know what? I know someone who will have that red chair off you, James, and I can get you a different one. Anyway.
There we go. So, last two questions are about Matt Hancock,
All right.
the health secretary. So, what did he accidentally retweet on National Poetry Day in 2014?
Ed Balls.
It wasn't Ed Balls, no. Was it a poem which described the Labour Party as being full of queers?
All right. Accidental, was it, did you say?
Accidental. I accidentally slipped and put my finger on the retweet button, and that's how I retweeted it.
Right, okay.
Like I say, something along those lines. Or was it a poem that described the EU as being a bunch of Nazis?
Yeah, I don't know what side he was on. I don't know what side he was on in the Brexit thing. I'm guessing if it turned out to be the second one, I'm guessing I can probably maybe guess what side he was on.
I think I would imagine Matt Hancock will claim to be everyone's best mate, wouldn't he?
In which case, I don't think he wants to upset anyone. So, apart from the Labour Party, so I'm going to go with the one about the Labour Party.
And you'll be correct. Well done. Yeah, he claimed that he retweeted it by accident. Probably negated by the fact. I think when you press retweet, it normally comes up saying something along the lines of, do you want to retweet or retweet with comment? And he just obviously clicked retweet without... to be fair, I think he just probably didn't read it properly, as opposed to actually deliberately trying to make that suggestion. Because I'm sure he's not actually a particularly malicious person, but at the same time, he does strike me as being a bit dim and the kind of person who would actually do that, without checking things properly. Bearing in mind, he went and gave a news conference where he talks about using the track and trace app and gave some kind of confused message saying, don't go out unless you live on the Isle of Wight. Then you can go out, but make sure you use the app if you're out.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a clue what he was talking about, but never mind. So, and also, as we've mentioned previously, we referred to Marcus Rashford as Daniel Rashford. So, final question. What did Matt Hancock do for charity in August 2012? Did he learn how to be a jockey and won a charity horse race? Or did he perform in a non-televised MP's version of Strictly Come Dancing where he managed to win, beating Yvette Cooper into second place?
So Yvette Cooper's been on Strictly, hasn't she? Has she?
No.
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 Don't know where I've got
Ed
that
Balls
from.
has, who she's married to.
Ed Balls has. Right, okay. I'm going to go... a non-televised version?
Well, I think it's one of these charity versions where you get to a charity dinner and that's the entertainment and people get to vote for it, as opposed to... It wasn't sort of a full sort of 10 or 12-week affair where you got to sort of sleep with your celebrity partner and all that sort of stuff. It was just, I think, a one-night dance competition.
Well, they had Dominic Raab's diary keeper or whatever for all that. Anyway, let's go with... I think it... I kind of want to say the first one. It looks a bit like it could be a jock. Is he tall? Matt Hancock, what's his height?
I don't know. I don't think he's particularly tall. A lot of politicians do tend to be quite tall in general, don't they?
And
his brother. I've actually met William Hague.
All
and
right.
He's quite tall.
Well, his brother Nick likes sport, doesn't he?
He does. He did, yes.
Because he used to he used to be on. Of course, it's not the same Hancock, is it? Let's go with the first one that he trained to be a jockey. I think I might have got that wrong. Now, go on.
Trained to be a jockey and won a charity horse race.
Yeah.
You'd be correct. Well
all
done.
Right. Loose symbol there.
Yeah. I was intrigued really because he's the MP for Newmarket, Matt Hancock, and he was. I think I mentioned on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? That he tweeted to say that thanks to everyone's efforts, horse racing will be back.
Ah, yes, I remember you
week.
saying that, yeah.
But yeah, so here's the MP for Newmarket, which is famous for its racecourse. I think is quite a popular attraction in Newmarket. So whether or not he's just trying to promote his local constituents as well as various other things and trying to get the racecourse open, I don't know. Read into that what you will.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he gets any support and funding from people who are involved in the horse racing industry, I couldn't possibly speculate.
Thank you for that, Fisher.
Thank you very much. Did you enjoy that, Jimbo?
I really enjoyed that one. Thanks. And I thought I'd play a little bit of a promo that goes quite well with our episode 69 as well. Is that all right? We've had it before, but we'll play it again just to remind people they can find us online. The Waste of Web Space podcast. You can find us online, wasteofwebspace.co.uk. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and Fisher's always on Pornhub. Dirty boy. Episode 69. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it. Our episode 69. Anyway, that's...
I'm quite impressed that to say that we had absolutely nothing to talk about and no news stories. I think we've gone for about an hour and 25 minutes, an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Our 69 has lasted that long.
Exactly. If you want to get in touch with us, please do. You can write to us on the video, underneath the video if you're watching, or you can, if you're listening to us, you can obviously get in touch. Usual sort of ways, website, wasteofwebspace.co.uk, tweet us, Waste of Webspace, Facebook, Waste of Web. There's loads of places you can get in touch. And as well, we're on Spotify now as well, which is like a new, so if you are listening on this and you normally listen to things on your Spotify account, you can listen on there now if it's a bit more easy for you. Or if you know people who like are looking for podcasts, but we've not been on there before, then you could point them our way. And we're actually on Spotify now, which is right up there with Apple Podcasts, isn't it, for some of the more popular services for listening to things on. So there you go.
I think you're vastly overestimating my knowledge in this area by asking me that question, Jimbo.
I still have to give you a cassette, don't I, every week?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. You have to transcribe it, write it out, and just give it me and let me read it on my own.
Right. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
See you next week. Bye-bye.